that will start this Saturday at Old Dominion. And here to talk about Old Dominion is Coach Huff.
How's everybody doing? Appreciate you guys being here. Really good opportunity last week to honor the 75. That has become something our team, obviously this community, really looks forward to. Really proud of the way the players went out and battled through the adversity, battled through the emotional week, was able to handle all the things outside of the actual game that are important and understanding and the remembering of that event. Really proud of and appreciative of everyone that was involved the entire week. The student body council that put on the fountain ceremony, all the families that were present, all of the fans, all the students that were present at the fountain ceremony, all of the people who came to the game, whether it's students, donors, families, whatever it may be. Really appreciative from myself and the football program. Thank you guys for letting us be a part of your moment, meaning the families, and hopefully we honored you guys the right way. Also want to thank Coach Red and his wife, Sharon, for all that they do from a inspirational standpoint for this football team, the willingness to continue to be involved, the willingness to talk about, an event that obviously is very dear to his heart, for her to be able to help get him to all of these events. Obviously, Coach Red's, health is getting up there in age, and obviously moving around with all of the different pieces is something that we appreciate his wife being able to do. It's a true inspiration to us. Thank him for helping design the helmets that we wore. Hopefully we honored him and his teammates and his players and everyone that was involved with that weekend. Hats off to Coastal Carolina for them participating in this game, in this week, in this honoring of the 75. Phenomenal game, challenge, competitive. Coastal Carolina's a good football team. We hadn't beat them since we've been here. So for us to be able to keep making steps towards, I know when I first got here I used the term closing the gap. And obviously with the changes we got here, it was COVID. We got here, we were in a different conference. We made a conference switch. We started recruiting for the conference switch. Transfer portal came in, NIL came in. A lot of people outside of this building helped us, close the gap in that new model. I think we're starting to see it come together. No, it's not perfect. I wish it could happen overnight. It doesn't, but I think this is, so when everyone says, when Coach Huff says close the gap, this is what it looks like. We're not there. We're nowhere near where we want to be, but I think we're starting to make progress. Apps beat us a bunch. Coastals beat us a bunch. I think we're starting to see what the tenure looks like. Obviously, we all would like it to happen a little bit faster, but I think we're starting to see that. Obviously, this week continues on that journey of getting better. Really good Old Dominion football team. Again, in this conference, I don't think you can look at records. You got to watch the film, and you look at what ODU has been able to do this season. Most of their games, they've only lost by one score. So they're in all of their games. A lot of those games they were leading late in the game. So this is not a team by any means that is not having a great season or is not playing really good football. This is a team very similar to a lot of other ones, and you can put us in that category where there's been opportunities that they've just missed. It happens, you look back on some opportunities we've missed that could have changed the game one way or the other, or vice versa, opportunities we made which changed the game. So a extremely talented football team. They're tough, they're physical, they challenge you on both sides of the ball schematically. I think obviously Coach Ronnie, being an offensive guy, They have a really good offensive system that challenges you but keeps it simple for their players and puts their players in position to make plays. They've made a lot of explosive plays throughout the year on the offensive side of the ball. They got some really good players at the skill position. Their quarterback is playing lights out right now. For him to be as young as he is from a college progression standpoint, but to be playing at such a high level, hats off to him and his coaches that are helping him. And then he's got a lot of guys that are playing well around him, making some big plays. Defensively, schematically, the defensive coordinator has done a really good job there. A lot of respect for him and what they do defensively. They're physical. They challenge you. They make you block all 11 guys on the field. They change up the looks. They're aggressive with their pressures. They put people in conflict with, whether you're blocking or running or passing, whatever it is, and they play extremely hard. Obviously, this is their senior day. It's a night game. Probably will be the toughest environment we've played in our conference or at our level, just because of everything that goes involved. There's no senior on that team that wants to walk off that field and not be victorious the last opportunity. That's all of college football. They're also fighting for bowl eligibility. That's a huge accomplishment or achievement that they're trying to get. So it's going to be a challenge. On the flip side, we got a lot to fight for. Obviously, we're in a position where every game matters, every play matters. The players had a players-only meeting yesterday, which I hope they didn't decide to revolt or go union strike. But they came out to practice Monday and they had a different look in their eye. Hopefully we can maximize that. And again, obviously Monday is Monday. We got to be great today and throughout the week. But they understand the importance of this game. This is the most important game on our schedule, and that's not just coach talk. That's because of where we are and what we're trying to accomplish this week. We've got to go out and play really well. They respect ODU. Obviously, we've got a lot of crossover between ODU and our roster. A lot of our guys are extremely close, connected with some of the players, the area. Obviously, myself and Coach Ronnie have a very unique connection. They know what they're getting into. They have a lot of respect for how they play. They have a lot of respect for their players. So it's going to be a challenge. They understand that. Ultimately, we got to practice really, really well today. That's all we can control, and try to maximize the amount of time we have today as best we can. That open up with questions.
When you look at Old Dominion, obviously a team that's been close to getting over the hump for a couple of years now. They've played in a lot of one-possession games. What is it about them that makes them so tough? Is it attitude? Is it grit? Is it just overall skill?
I think obviously when you look at how a team plays, that can kind of tell the story. They're physical. They're tough. There's no plays or any games where it looks like, okay, they're out of it. Their systems allow them to be in every game. You can get up. They've been in some games where teams have gotten up on them, and then, 2 plays, it's, tied up. So I think that allows them to always believe, and that's a big piece of, trying to get your team to play really well. Do they believe in what you're doing? Do they believe in the system? Do they believe in each other? And I think that's what ODU shows on film. They believe. With that, obviously, there's going to be moments in games where, plays have to be made, and we have to make more plays than they do in order to stay, ahead of them, because they are a team that, regardless of the score, they play hard. And that's a testament to their coaches. It's a testament to their players.
With your guys, Coach, speaking of those tight possessions where you got to make a play, you can go back to Western Michigan, ULM, last week. When
I'd like to get out of that.
I know you'd rather
like
have some comfort.
Yeah.
But does that help your guys to realize that, when you got to make a stop or make a play that they're ready to do it?
Yeah, I think it helps. I think anytime you can, be in a situation and have to, make a choice or make a play or, step up in a moment and you're able to do that, it builds confidence. I think, again, there's a combination of, from a coach's perspective, acknowledging that, hey, we've been here before, but also pointing out here are areas where we don't have to get there. And that's what, in these next, couple of days, we got to understand we have to eliminate getting in those situations. There's too many plays in a game where the other team is going to make a play. They've got good players. They've got good coaches. We've got to eliminate the opportunities where we're giving plays away or where we're putting ourselves in tough positions, penalties, turnovers, snapping the ball over the punter's head or the punter dropping the ball or missing a block because of communication. That's what we got to focus on this week. If we can eliminate those things, there's going to be a dozen plays in the game where they make a play, it's bang, bang, a guy's right there, and those are the ones, that's why you play the game of football. What you're trying to correct or point out is, hey, we've been in situations, like you say, where we've bowed our neck and we've made a play. But let's look 3 plays earlier. If we do this, it doesn't get to that play, if that makes sense. So, but I do think anytime you can, be in those situations and have success, it kind of creates a little bit of experience and confidence for the next time.
Coach, it's always nice when you see guys step up, and certainly this kid had played a lot of football for you, but can you just talk a little bit about Chuck Montgomery, here throughout the last few weeks and his contribution to this team?
Yeah, Chuck's probably one of the, a bunch of guys that every day he shows up, he's got energy. You guys have done interviews with him. The kid loves life. The kid loves football. And he's a guy that has worked and worked and worked and always doesn't necessarily, show up in the stat sheet. But as coaches, when we look who's blocking their tail off, the 170-pound, wide receiver blocking a big safety and fighting and grinding, it's usually Chuck. Our punt returner goes down and Chuck is in the rotation, but he's out here catching punts, in the afternoons, to take that role. Obviously, throughout the games, we've been, maybe we're running it, maybe we're throwing it, but he's executing whatever we ask him to do. And his energy is infectious. He kind of gets the guys around him going. And then now he's been put in some situations where he started to make some plays. That builds confidence in the quarterback to know he's going to be in the right area and make the play when he gets an opportunity. I think he's starting to see some reward from his, the work he's put in, which should motivate him to continue to work. The guys around him respect how hard he works, so when he does make a play, they're excited for him as well. So really, I love him. Kid bust his tail. Kid do whatever you ask him to do. Obviously, he plays like he's 6'6", 300 pounds, and really he's 5'10" and a half, 5'11", 180, whatever, 170, whatever he is. But those are the type of guys that, when plays need to be made, you're starting to say, okay, who can we get in a position to make a play? And Chuck's been able to do that for a couple weeks.
Stands out to you? What do you notice about Colton Joseph, the quarterback?
Yeah, one thing to me is he can create with his feet. And when you can do that, it allows you to be able to throw the ball with a lot more, with a lot less options of defensive looks, because you got to prepare that he could take off, so it changes how you rush, it changes how you pressure, it changes how you cover in the back end. And then on top of that, he can throw, so he's not just a quarterback that's back there running the ball. He has the ability to throw. I mean, they've hit some explosive passes down the field in multiple games. But his ability to create with his feet keeps drives alive, keeps you honest on defense with how you rush and how you contain him. It keeps you honest in the coverage. Somebody's got to have their eyes on him. And then all of a sudden now he pulls it down, and he's not just getting a first down and getting down. He's a couple games, he's gone plus 40, 50 yards on a touchdown run, which creates another explosive play for him. So I think he's tough. He's gotten hit some. For him to be that young and to have that kind of grit and grind, stand in there and deliver a throw or take off, and put his shoulder down or put a move on the guy. A lot of respect for him. I think he's got a really good grasp of the system. You can kind of see him getting through the progressions the right way. You can kind of see him, with his eyes going to the side of the field where it needs to go. Doesn't make a ton of mistakes. Typically he's making the right decision. A lot of respect for him. He's going to be a challenge for us. I don't know. He may be the best we've faced in the last 4 or 5 weeks. I can't think back, but as far as the complete package, we faced guys that did some things well, but he does a lot well that we're gonna have to be prepared for.
And how do you characterize their defense?
Yeah, I mean they havoc. They're all over the place. I think their backers and secondary guys are physical. They got a really unique way of having a lot of people around the ball, but also not having a lot of people around the ball, if that makes sense. The guys run to the ball. They mix up the coverages. The fronts move. They pressure. The kids play hard, so a lot of times you can solve a lot of problems with aggression. You can create a lot of problems with aggression. And I think the kids do a really good job of playing off of each other, whether it's the safeties fitting off the linebackers fitting off the D-line. They react well and quickly. They play the ball well in the back end. They're opportunistic. They've got their hands on some balls. They've knocked some balls out. Up front, they've got some guys who can get after the passer. So it's going to be a challenge. Probably the most complex group that we've played, this year as far as, you don't exactly know what you're getting. You're going to get an idea, but they mix it up a lot enough to keep you off balance.
You mentioned the players only meeting and their kind of attitude coming into yesterday. How does that bleed over into the coaching staff when they see that kind of drive and energy from the players? How are the coaches affected by that?
Yeah, I think it's good. Last thing I always say to the coaches before every game is give them a chance. Just give them a chance. And that's obviously on game day. It's a little bit different than during the week. During the week you want to, when your room is locked in and they're itching for information and itching to grow. As a coach, you put 2 or 3 more clips on the cut up. You spend 4 or 5 extra minutes, trying to come up with a game plan or a technique or a tip or key reminder to try to give them that little bit of edge. And it eliminates. I always tell the guys, the more professional and the more intentional focus the players show up with, you can teach on a 300 level. You're not like in elementary school. Hey, sit down, don't do that. Stand up, sit down, move over. You can take it to the next level because they go home and they review what you talked about. So when they come back tomorrow, they got a better grasp, and we can move on to the next thing. When they go out to practice, they've grasped what you talked about in the meeting, the days before or the meeting before. So now you're able to go to the next level. And as a coach, when you can start going to level 300, 400, man, you are really you feel good because you're giving them. And I'm not just talking about just throwing stuff on the wall. I'm talking about, okay, this is what we're trying to do, offensive or defensive scheme. Here is what you should be looking for, and then you start to see them see it, or you start to see them do it. Now you can add one more layer. Okay, hey, now that you see that easily, or you can see this coverage, or you can see this, offensive play. Okay, now be ready to do this. Now you're giving them more and more tools to use to be successful. There's always a limit because everybody in the room is at different levels. Last week we talked about Braden Ward, making some plays. Well, in the beginning of the season, he wasn't at the level. From an understanding and retaining and that whole knowledge standpoint combined with now I got to go out and do it. He's getting to that level now. So some of the things that he can handle goes up. Just use him as an example. So as a coach, it kind of, you kind of want to get to level 300 and 400. And when they come in with that focus or that mindset, it really helps you as a coach know, okay, yes, I can move on. When it's like, well, one guy gets it, but these 3 guys don't. You find yourself in a balance, and I used to be, okay, everybody but Saquon, listen to what I'm saying. You guys do this. Everybody but Najee, listen to what I'm saying. You guys do this. Najee, you can do this. So when you can get the whole room to that level, you feel really good about it.
Coach, does your message change at all? You're now what, November 19th?
Nope.
But you've got control. You don't have to worry about
Nope.
what everybody else does.
I told them after the Ohio State game exactly what we were going to do, and that has not changed. I told them in the locker room exactly what we were going to do, and that was we were going to come to work every single day and find a way to get better, and if anybody wasn't with that, don't get back on the bus. Everybody got back on the bus. So by your actions, you committed to the goal. So now that you're committed to something, you can't change because the mood in which you committed in changed. You're committed to it until they tell us we're not playing anymore. And they reminded me of that. Every week you kind of have a different, you get a different focus. We're going on the road this week. Last week was 75 game, but the goal was still the same. We're coming out every day and we're finding a way to be more intentionally focused than I was yesterday. And then, so I'll tell you what I said after Ohio State to make you feel good. I told them, I said, if this next months are important to you, you'll do more than what's required. Yes, we have a meeting. Yes, we have practice. Yes, we have lifting. Yes, we have study hall. Yes, we have class. If what you guys set out to do this summer is important to you, for the next remainder of this season, you'll do more than what's required. And that's what they've done, because doing more than what's required, one, says it's important to you. Two, once you start to do more than what's required, you're going to get more than what you deserve, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? If you only show up just at practice, just at meetings, just what, is on the schedule, then you're going to get just that. But if you put a little bit more time in the meeting room, a little bit more film at home, take care of your body a little bit more, practice with a little bit more focus and intensity, rehab, go to class, more consistently, go to study hall even when you don't have anything necessarily to study, but to get ahead. When you start to do that, your grades get better. It's amazing how that works. It took me 6 years in college to figure that out, but it's amazing how that works. But it's the same thing in life, and I told them that. I said, if you get back on this bus, you're committing to doing more than what's required. And if we do more than what's required for the remainder of this season, we'll get more than we deserve. It's been the same message. Obviously, like I said, each week there's a different, hey, we're going on the road, this opponent, 75 week, hey, we're going back on the road. Those things change, but the message is still the same.
Anything further for Coach Huff?
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys. Again, I want to thank all the fans who made the Joan, 6-0 is really good. The Joan is a tough place to play because of all the support we get. So thank you guys for the home slate. Thank you in advance to anyone that's making the trip to Norfolk this weekend. Really appreciate all you guys do. Thanks. Go Herd.